Quick note, I do not support piracy. Please dump your own games. All my games are legally dumped. It's been a long day, I'm sorry if I sound tired. Everyone knows by now that the Steam controller can do a lot. It's one of the most featured controllers of all time, and I absolutely adore it. Me personally, I think the Steam Deck was so good that I even used it on my lap in docked mode so that I could have that control scheme and play it on a big screen. The trackpads and the back buttons are an absolute game changer for me. I of course love emulation, and I love playing my childhood games in the best quality possible because the big companies just don't offer that. Of course, resolution and basic enhancements like that are amazing, but they're not the whole story. Old consoles and old games had weird control schemes and were made in a completely different context, so trying to play them in this day and age is kind of hard. Obviously you don't need all this crazy stuff for an NES game, but for something that's a little freaky like the Wii or the DS, a few more inputs is warranted. And I think the trackpads and the back buttons are the most versatile inputs for these consoles. You can map them to so much stuff that enhance your experience in so many ways. So let me go over a few of them in this video. I haven't seen any reviewers go super in depth about this. At most they just touch on it. There's a lot of great reviews out there, so that's what I'll be doing today. I'd big appreciate it if you could drop a like and a comment, but without further ado, let's get into it. So for starters, for all of the setups I'm going to talk about, you have to have the game running through Steam. When it's not running through Steam, it kind of just doesn't work. It's going to be in what's called lizard mode, where, from my understanding, the Steam controller is more like a keyboard and mouse than an actual controller. The trackpads are a mouse input. The right trigger is a left click. Yes, you can play games like this, obviously keyboard and mouse games, however, it won't be a great experience. For the best experience, you want to have it as a controller, and to do all the fancy stuff, you're gonna need Steam. So add all your emulators to Steam as a non-Steam game. Of course, you can also add just singular games as well, but the easiest to do is to just add a full emulator. Now, if you're used to emulation on deck specifically, you'll probably be very familiar with mapping your right trackpad as a mouse and clicking down on the right trackpad is a left click. This is a pretty standard thing you do to quickly change settings on the fly. You could also map a back button to F11 to quickly full screen or unfull screen whatever you're playing, so you can quickly go in and change settings, but this has another use. Any handheld console or console in general, I'm looking at you, Wii U, with a touchscreen on the controller is massively enhanced by the ability to click on the screen. Not a lot of games on the DS, 3DS, Wii U, etc. actually require you to touch the bottom screen to progress the game, but it's a nice little option, and if you play a game that does require you to touch the bottom screen, having just the touchpads on the controller to quickly click it is a lot more convenient than breaking out a keyboard and mouse. However, just touching the bottom screen is not the only way DS and 3DS games specifically are enhanced by this controller. For back buttons, what do? Well, pretty much anything you want. In the Melon DS settings, you can set a hotkey to swap the screen sizes. Now this is wildly convenient. Being able to make one screen bigger and the other one smaller whenever you want is pretty much necessary if you're going to be rocking with two screens the whole time. DS games like to change emphasis a lot. You can have just one of them on the screen at a time if you would like. However, I like it so that they're both on the screen at the same time and I can swap between them at will. My hotkey for this is, I believe, F10, and I just map that to the right back button, and so it's just one click away for me to change emphasis. I know some people would probably not like switching like this, however, it's become so natural to me that I don't even think about it. Also, just a heads up for anyone with a Steam Deck who hasn't really been able to get their hands on a Steam controller yet. I know it's sold out basically instantly. I was very blessed to be able to get one. If you customize your controls on the Steam Deck, they will carry over to your Steam controller. And by carry over, I mean they will be auto-applied to your Steam controller. You don't even have to do anything. It's extremely nice. So if you're extremely excited to get one, but you're still waiting on a reservation list, try customizing it on the Steam Deck to see how it would feel. I'm telling you right now, it's even better than you think. So you can swap the screens easily, and you can touch the bottom screen without actually touching the bottom screen, which is awesome. But these trackpads were not just made to be a mouse. As demonstrated by my friend Aja, who came up with an ingenious control scheme for Skyward Sword on Switch specifically. If you didn't know, this game was originally designed to work with the Wii Remote, where you'd actually swing the Wii Remote to swing the sword. I'm gonna be real, it'd be pretty weird if you didn't know that by now. But anyway, on the Switch version of Skyward Sword, they give you optional button controls, mainly allowing the right stick to control the sword for you. You flick it in different directions to swing in those directions. And that's cool for accessibility reasons, of course, but what's interesting is that the right stick can also control the camera. However, you have to be holding L while you are using the right stick in order to use the camera. So the control scheme that Mr. Ajal came up with was actually kind of genius. Basically, he wanted the trackpad to be able to control the sword while the right stick controls the camera. However, you can't just do that within emulator settings. You need to go into Steam Input to enable all that. Basically, what he did was this. He set it up so the right trackpad was just a joystick, not a mouse. He also had to turn off trackball mode because trackball mode plus joystick kind of is a mess. This allowed him to swipe on the trackpad in order to swing the sword, which is pretty cool. However, he didn't just want this, he also wanted it so the right stick would never use the sword. He wanted the right trackpad to be the only way to use the sword. And all he did was use a really cool but often overlooked feature of the Steam controller and of course the Steam Deck, which is that touching the sticks is an input. Simply putting his thumb onto the right stick would auto hold L, meaning every time he uses the right stick, it would become the camera. So the right stick is for camera, the right trackpad is for sword swings. The result is something that feels like it was designed from the ground up for this controller. This is cool and really shows off the versatility of the Steam controller. Even though this was a pretty simple adjustment, it can make a world of difference. I will say the Steam controller is not perfect. For starters, in most emulators, I'll use Eden emulator as an example, it's one of the more current Switch emulators, gyro doesn't work at all. Now this was a problem on the Steam Deck and you had to follow a whole guide in order to actually get it set up. It required downloading some software, running it, and by some wizard magic it would finally work. However, to my knowledge, there's nothing like this for the Steam controller yet. Wait, hold it, pause the video. As of this morning, I believe someone is working on a fix for this already. Now, I really don't have a lot of information on it, I don't really understand it, but I don't believe it's actually in Eden emulator yet, so I'll try to get more information on it, and if I can, I'll make a gyro setup tutorial later. Obviously, I only really have footage of a game that doesn't require gyro, but still, it would be very nice. A lot of fan projects that support gyro, like Dusklight, which is a PC port of Twilight Princess, supports it on Steam Deck and Steam controller via a mouse input. Basically, it just interprets the mouse as, oh, you're using the gyro now. So you go into the Steam settings to turn that gyro into a mouse, and then boom, it works perfectly. But I'm not sure how well that would work for emulators, considering when you move the mouse actually appears on the screen. And if you use gyro, it's constantly going to be wiggling a little bit. Though just having the option would be kind of nice. A little side note, something that's small but really cool to me is that I can set my emulators to quit using the command Control Q, which I have mapped to the two bottom back buttons. One is Control, the other is Q, and then I simply press both at the same time and that'll quit out of my emulators instantly. Because it's two buttons and not just one, I won't hit them on accident and close my game during an intense moment or something. I play a lot of emulators and this is so natural to me that I actually started trying to do this in other games I play. It's a little thing, but it's really cool and I love having that extra little bit of convenience. And that's kind of the takeaway from the Steam controller with emulators. It's maximum convenience. Of course, you can get crazy like what Ajaw did, or you can keep it simple and just have little things like I do. So closing thoughts, I believe the Steam controller is one of, if not the best emulator controller ever. It's incredibly comfortable, it's incredibly versatile, and it's incredibly cool to just have around. It seems to be the perfect controller to just give to the community so the community can figure out how to use it right. If you want to go crazy or simple, it's all right there for you, and I absolutely love it. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.